welcome to this edition of EMS Now Up Close. It is my pleasure to once again speak with Herr Dieter Weiss, market researcher extraordinaire from Europe, goes by the company of in4ma. Dieter, it's good to see you again. I know you're in the United States, so I'm glad you're over here for a little bit. I'm sorry I don't get to visit with you while you're here, but at least we get this time together.
Thank you, Eric. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be over here in the United States. I haven't been here at least for 7 years when I buried my cousin in Wisconsin.
Okay, well, on that note, we'll move forward. I hope this trip goes better for you.
Yeah.
Listen, I wanted to catch up with you because obviously I track the work that you're doing there. And I know that you did kind of a half-year survey update within the EMS industry in Europe. It was more limited. It wasn't the entire continent, but speak to what you did there and some of the results.
Yes. We had heard a lot of signs in the market that people were very worried about the situation. Not to say they were scared, but as you know, everybody is very willing to share positive information with you, but once it comes to negative information, they all are very quiet, and you have to pull every piece of information out of their nose in order to get a better picture of the situation. And even so, we felt that what was happening was very normal. So what we did was we said we don't have the time to do a European survey on such a short notice. So early August, we did a half-year survey on the German-speaking countries, Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. We had 106 companies participating. We did not just ask for revenues and headcount. No, we were in specific interested to learn more about the order books. We wanted to see how that is developing, because we have been tracking that for the last 3 years, every half year as well. So every 6 months we see the development, and the peak of the order book was end of 2020 when the semiconductor crisis, which they call it, blew up, and all of a sudden procurement and purchasing managers went crazy and bought everything they could, just due to the fact that the distribution people said, well, if you don't place a fixed order, we cannot give you any delivery dates. I think that was a very, very strange thing what they did there. But even stranger was a reaction of the purchasing people by saying, well, let's put the orders for the next 2 years and we place them. And as long as we are the first one to do that, we get our material and we'll be fine. The stupid thing about that is, and some of these people even claim that they know about the bullwhip effect. The bullwhip effect was first explained more than 50 years ago at Harvard Business School, yeah? But people don't learn from it, yeah? And they really believe if they rush with their orders, they're going to be the first. None of them was the first. They were all the last, yeah? And they're all suffering from it. Because what we have seen, and you remember 2 months ago, we did this half-year survey for the global EMS companies as well, which was very interesting. On those companies, the inventory did not jump up that big. It went up to, in the region, 29 to 35% of annual revenues was the inventory level on raw materials for the big ones. Whereas on the small ones, it has been going up much more. The difference is the big one have a higher vertical integration. They do not just the PCBAs, they do box building and everything as well. So the semiconductor content of their revenues is much smaller compared to a small company who only does PCBA. And on those smaller companies, and we were able to show that the smaller the company, the higher the inventory levels were and still are. It has not changed. Yeah, and that is what is worrying me. And we were able, with the half-year survey, to show this very much in detail once again. And we really wondered, because we got the feeling that some people might think that the inventory crisis is due to the chip crisis, and the chip crisis is still ongoing. We have done um, a survey as well in the distributor market to check for a specific microcontroller, and this microcontroller was on all lists with a delivery time of 18 weeks and a price of unnegotiated price of 32 to 35 US dollars. As I, for the last half year, have been getting more and more emails from brokers from China, from Singapore, from Malaysia. I did the test and I wrote to some of them and I said, well, do you have this NXP microcontroller for me? And whereas the distributors had it on 18 weeks delivery time, the first one immediately came back and said, you can have it in 3 days, you can have 5,000 pieces. And he said, you can have them for 32 US dollars. And I said, well, no, that's too expensive. Yeah. And he immediately, with the argument, well, you are a first-time customer, so we give you a special price. You can have it for 27. I thought, gee, he can give it away $5 less so easily, whereas it's on the book of the distributors between 32 and 35 US dollars, again unnegotiated. They normally get a discount as well. That's no question. But still, available in 3 days compared to 18 weeks on the distributor side. So I have difficulties to understand this. Yeah. And the second broker, he was able to say, well, you can have 1,500 at a price of 27 immediately. Boom. But he had a delivery time of, I think, 2.5 weeks, but still much better than 18 weeks. So, guys out there is no chip crisis.
Well,
Yeah.
did you place the order, Dieter? Did you
Yes.
order the parts?
Yeah, and then sell them to some smart purchasing guys. Yeah.
Well,
What
I
is the
mean,
idea?
the only concern there might be, are they really real parts, right? You know, there's
Yes, I
obviously
know what you
concern.
mean. There
Yeah.
is still always the fear of getting fake material. Yeah,
Absolutely.
but even that, as far as I know, you mentioned that one time there is is that White Horse Laboratories?
White Horse. I was about to say, if you're going to do such a thing, run them through White
Yeah,
Horse Labs.
run them
You know.
through White House Laboratories and let them check the parts, but you have them. Yeah,
Yep.
so.
Exactly.
So it's a fake argument that is going on over there. But the real problem is, Eric, that the order book is slowing down, and people get nervous as the order book is slowing down, because for the salespeople it had been very comfortable. They had been leaning back, saying, "Well, we can't do anything. We got the order book for the next 2 years." Yeah, totally wrong. Now is the time to very be close to your customer and to make sure that you even increase your order size, that you get to know exactly what is happening inside those companies, especially the reasons why they are either reducing order sizes, trying to cancel orders, or trying to defer them. In most cases, we have this situation, again, bullwhip effect. The OEMs that gets the supplies from the EMS, they have their stores full. And
Mhm.
and that is not due to the fact that their sales expectations were not met. No, it was simply the fact that they made the same fault the EMS companies made. They double ordered. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they wondered that all the material ends up in the stores and they can't get rid of it. Jesus Christ, when do you people learn how to deal with the bullwhip effect? Yeah. So that is a problem. And you might have read the press release yesterday of INCAP giving a
Yes.
profit warning. Yes, it is. It is a profit warning because the original declared profit expectations will not be met due to the fact that a big customer deferred orders into 24. Yeah, but is that a reason to overreact on the stock exchange? Yeah, the stock really ran down
Of
from
course it is. Of
it's at
course
the
it
moment I
is.
think it's 606. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course it's a
It
reason.
used to be 15, 17. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not the only one. If you watch all the other stock listed companies, you see that people have the tendency to panic at the moment.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
listen, stock market is not a rational beast, so
Yeah.
of course it's a reason. But let me ask you, what you're talking about, the slowing there, the order books kind of slowing. Is that due to the macroeconomic issues that's going on, inflation around the world? What impact?
In
Where,
Well, it is in part for sure as well due to the macroeconomic situation, especially over here in Europe. See, we have been having all these problems with, especially in Germany and other countries as well, with energy prices going through the roof, inflation going through the roof. Uh, the private households becoming very nervous, not knowing how the cost situation is going to be next year or next week. And they become careful in spending money and they say, well, we better be careful now and keep our powder dry rather than spending it all. And
Mhm.
that is part of the reaction, but it's not the only reaction we see in the market. As I said before, some of it is as well that there was no proper planning by the OEMs, but instead there was double booking. Yeah, yeah. See, in 2020 we had not only the semiconductor crisis, in Germany, we had a toilet paper crisis as well. Tell me how demand can go up. Yeah, yeah. Demand remains the same. It was just some people going berserk and
Yeah.
starting to buy everything they could get and put it in the basement. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So that's what we refer to as the bullshit effect, right? Is that what that is?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I want to be, careful with your time here as well. Tell me, the other issue that's big in the industry, obviously, is labor, right? Finding qualified people, and along with that is the drive to increase automation in the facilities now, and specifically, kind of post reflow, automation has been a big focus. What's this? What are you seeing in Europe from on both sides, both the labor shortages and also on automation?
Well, number one, on the labor shortages, as the economy is slowing down and Germany is at the moment even in a recession status by definition, we are seeing that people are losing their jobs. So tough luck for those people, but some industry people think, hey, that's good. We finally get new manpower. On the other hand, there is still the situation that labor costs in Central Eastern Europe is much less compared to Western Europe. If you and we have done these studies several times, and if you just look at, for example, look at Germany. where you have on average, and I know this does not, for example, go to a stores person, but on average we have a labor cost of 37 euros per hour, and measured with the same standards, you have, for example, 8.7 euros in Romania, and you have 11.5 euros in Poland. So the question is, where do you go? And this question is being asked several times nowadays, because people say, well, number one, we need more capacity. We don't want to set up this extra capacity in the West because it's simply too expensive. We need to find a place where we can add capacity, and we have been doing several studies on this, and the outcome is, yes, Central Eastern Europe is still a place to go and set up either set up a facility yourself, or there are a lot of interesting companies. Try to buy one of these companies, and both activities are going on. And then you have to recognize as well, even so, for example, Romania has labor costs which are lower than Poland. Just imagine both countries having the same unemployment rate. Then Poland is still advantageous because Poland has nearly 38 million inhabitants, whereas Romania just got 17.7. So with the same unemployment rate, you have double the amount of unemployed people in Poland compared to Romania. So if you play the thing further, for example, go to the Baltics, go to Estonia, where you only have 1.5 million people, yeah? They might even tell you they have 5% unemployment rate, which, by the way, they don't. Yeah, but on the absolute quantity, the percentage is good, but the absolute quantity is no good. So you have to take all of these things into consideration. And at the moment, we are working on several very, very interesting projects. I can't talk too much about it, but there is things going on in the market, and it's as well due to the fact that companies are getting nervous. Now, the second part is the automation, which for sure is still something people have to do. You yourself, together with me, we have been touring a couple of people last year in Sweden. You remember that? And all these companies we saw a lot of box building activities. And if you compare the PCBA manufacturing to the box building, it becomes very obvious the majority of the people is sitting on the box building side. So when suppliers, especially machine suppliers, then start talking, well, you need to further automate on the PCBA side. I'm sorry, but it's wrong. Yeah, it's simply wrong. You need to automate on the box building side, and there we have this problem of lot size. Yeah, we know we are in high mix, low volume production, and there is a lower volume limit where it makes no sense to automate. Yeah. But if you're smart, you still have a lot of orders where you can do it. Yeah, with cobots, for example, you can automate and save labor.
Yeah. And the automation, of course, that whole drive is impacted by the inventory overhang that we've been talked about previously, and people who are cash strapped and their ability to make some investments, desired investments, maybe in automation, maybe having to be put off until the inventory is flushed.
Yeah. Okay. So the situation is a little worrying. On the other side, when we compare the first half of 2022 with the first half of 2023, those companies reporting we reported 21.8% higher revenues than the first half 2022. Now we have to be careful again. Our experience, long time experience, is that you normally only get people reporting their numbers when they're good. It's a crazy thing. Nobody wants to report negative numbers. Now, yes, I'm sitting here with you talking about, but I'm not mentioning which companies got bad numbers. Still, people don't want that. They prefer not to report the numbers at all. And by doing so, they, to a certain extent, influence the statistics as long as you don't understand what is happening. Yeah. Yeah, you can just add 106 numbers and say, well, that's it. So now for 2023, we are expecting a growth rate of 21.8%. No, we don't. Yeah, because we have to take into account by experience what is the actual situation. And by talking with the companies, we know as well who is already in a negative field, who is losing revenues, and all of this we take into account when we do our annual forecast. And again,
Yeah.
this forecast, which is to a certain extent based on our survey results. Now, nobody should believe that we leave it at the survey results. Half a year later, when they all have to publish their numbers into the country company registers, we cross-check those numbers. And I can tell you, I had a case in the past, a guy, for whatever reason, he, in the surveys, he always reported revenues 30% higher than what we later on saw when he had published his revenues on the country company register. So we find those things, we catch them, and in the survey, such a person is not is kicked out. Simple as that.